Hello everyone and welcome to EduTap. In this video, we are going to discuss some important MCQs related to the topic of freedom movement and Indian Union, which is a very important part of the syllabus of the ESIC Deputy Director exam. As we all know that this Deputy Director exam is being conducted by UPSC, and the levels of questions which are being asked in any of the exams that UPSC conducts, we expect the level of questions to be quite good, and therefore we are also trying in these sessions related to the exam of ESIC Deputy Director to provide you with such kinds of MCQs so that you can practice, so that you can revise, and you can also improve your MCQ solving abilities for the ESIC exam, right? So in this session we are going to discuss 10 such important MCQs from the subject of freedom movement and Indian Union. But before starting with this session, I would like to remind you all that EduTap is offering a flat 50% discount on all the courses that we are offering, be it for RBI grade B or SEBI grade A, NABARD grade A, ESIC, IBPS, AFO, APFC, ICAR, AO, any of the examinations, any of the courses that EduTap offers to you. We are offering a flat 50% discount on all these courses if you use the code one time, because this entire offer is available for a very limited period only. This offer is available till 8th December 2021. Okay, so do not miss out on this offer. This is only a one-time special offer sale where you will be able to purchase any of the course that we are providing you on EduTap, be it for a single examination or it is a combo course for multiple examinations, but you will be getting a flat 50% off on that course on its original pricing, right? So do not miss out on this offer and use the code one time. Do not forget to do that. So now let us start with the today's session. We will discuss all these 10 questions one by one. The first question is in front of you. The question says, which party was founded by Subhash Chandra Bose in the year 1939 after he broke away from the Congress? So this party, the name of this party is quite famous, and I expect most of you to answer this question correctly. Subhash Chandra Bose is very famously, known to have formed this particular party after he broke away from Congress in 1939 due to some disagreements over what should be the course of the future freedom struggle of India, right? So options are Indian Freedom Party, Azad Hind Fauj, Revolutionary Front, and Forward Bloc. Out of this, I know most of us aspirants, we are quite aware of the answer. The correct answer for this question is Forward Bloc. This was the party that was led by, which was formed by Subhash Chandra Bose after he left Congress. There might be some options which might create some confusion in your mind. We need not forget that Azad Hind Fauj, it was also created by Subhash Chandra Bose ji, but it was done quite late. It was done just in the end times of the Second World War, right? So not in the year 1939, the beginning of the Second World War. It was not done then. So correct answer for this question is option D, Forward Bloc, right? Let us jump ahead to the question number 2. Question number 2 is in front of you. This question says, Indian Penal Code was drafted on the recommendations of First Law Commission of India, established under what? So the Indian Penal Code, the IPC we call it, this is a code, this is a set of laws which determine the quantum of punishment, the nature of punishment of various kinds of crimes and offenses. Okay, this Indian Penal Code is still in force, but it was initially formed in its original stage in the colonial administration during the times of the Britishers. So this IPC, it was formed on the recommendations of the First Law Commission of India, and this First Law Commission of India was established under which of the following acts? Regulating Act of 1773, Charter Act of 1833, Indian Councils Act of 1909, and Government of India Act of 1935, right? So these are the four basic laws that we have in front of us. Now the First Law Commission of India, you have to remember, it was set up under the chairmanship or the presidentship of Charles Macaulay, right? And Charles Macaulay was a very influential person who has a very important say in determining the educational policy of India, in determining the legal policy of India or the legal doctrine in India, and that is why this Macaulay person is quite widely read about in the Indian history, at least in the Indian modern history. The correct answer for this question is the Charter Act of 1833. This Charter Act of 1833, it brought about many significant changes. It changed, first of all, the Governor General of Bengal to Governor General of India, right? And in addition to this, it also stipulated the formation of a law commission of India, the first law commission of India, to determine the what kind of laws should be there applicable to the Indian British subjects. Okay, so the correct answer of this question is the Charter Act of 1833. Under this act, the first law commission was set up. This law commission was presided over by Charles Babbage Macaulay, and this law commission made various recommendations. All these recommendations, they were compiled into one single code known as the Indian Penal Code. Before this, various communities in India, be it Muslims, Hindus, Sikhs, and other different communities in different parts of the country, they had their own laws. They had their own personal laws, they had their own criminal laws, and that is why it was needed by the Britishers that we must have a single code in throughout the British India to provide punishments for various kinds of offences that are being committed. Okay, the correct answer here is Charter Act of 1833. You have to remember, this act is responsible for the first law commission of India also, and this first law commission of India, it did not only give us the Indian Penal Code, but it also provided us various other things. It also provided us various kinds of reforms that have to be made in the judiciary system, in the bureaucracy system at that time. Clear? Now let us talk about the question number 3. Question number 3 is about the chronological order of certain battles that were fought in the Indian subcontinent in the 18th century. Which one of the following is the correct chronological order of the battles fought in India in the 18th century? The 4 battles which are jumbled up in the options are Battle of Wandiwash, Battle of Buxar, Battle of Ambur, and Battle of Plassey. Now it is important that you remember the exact years of these battles, because these battles are not very far away. There is a difference of about a few years between these battles. Okay, so first of all, we know Battle of Plassey is a very important battle. This was the battle in which the Britishers won, and it actually decided the fate of Indian colonialism. This Battle of Plassey, it was held in 1757, exactly 100 years before the 1857 revolt, right? So this 1757, it was the Battle of Plassey. The Britishers, they defeated the combined forces of the Bengal Nawab. And Battle of Plassey, it was succeeded by Battle of Buxar in 1764. These are very important battles that you have to remember. Battle of Buxar, it was the battle where the Britishers, they fought the combined forces of the Mughal Empire, and the Mughal Empire was being assisted by various other local rulers, and the British, they won. And this was practically the end of the Mughal rule in India. This Battle of Buxar, it decided that Britishers, they were the paramount power, the supreme power in the Indian subcontinent. Before these two battles, Battle of Wandiwash and Battle of Ambur, they also happened. Battle of Ambur, it happened quite early, right? It happened in the Second Carnatic War, while the Battle of Wandiwash, it happened in 1760s, and it was the part of Third Carnatic War. So the correct chronology here should be that first of all, Battle of Ambur happened, then Battle of Plassey happened, then Battle of Wandiwash happened, and then Battle of Buxar happened. Okay, so the correct answer here is option B. Battle of Ambur in 1749 during the times of the First Carnatic War. Then comes Battle of Plassey in 1757 between the Bengal Nawab and the British forces. And then Battle of Wandiwash in the Third Carnatic War. And Battle of Buxar lastly in 1764. And this was the battle which actually decided that now the Britishers, they are going to be the ruling power, the most important, the most powerful power in our subcontinent. And it is going to rule over the entire India, right? Next up, let us talk about question number 4. Question number 4 is related to Government of India Act of 1935, a very important constitutional development which happened in the 20th century India. The Government of India Act 1935, it provided for some things. Which of the following is correct? It provided for provincial autonomy. It provided for establishment of a federal court. It provided for All India Federation at the center. So the 35 Act, the Government of India 35 Act, it envisaged for primarily an All India Federation. It wanted that all the British provinces which were there and all the princely states which were ruled by their local hereditary rulers, these all units, they should come together as a federation, and it should be the British Indian Federation, a federation of Indian states as well as the princely states. Okay, so All India Federation at the center should be there. Yes, this is absolutely correct. Then provincial autonomy would be preserved. It was decided that all the units of the federation, the different states, the Bombay state, the Bengal state, the Madras state, the Punjab state, all these states, they will have their own autonomy. They will be able to manage their own affairs. Only a limited number of subjects like defense, like external relations, communications, they will be in the hand of the federal government or the central government. Okay, so this is also correct. Provincial autonomy will be there. Establishment of a federal court will be there, a kind of a supreme court, a federal court, which will have jurisdiction over the entire India over the other units also in case of all the federal subjects. So all these provisions, they were part of the 1935 Act. Okay, so correct answer here is option D, 1, 2 and 3. Done. Next up, question number 5. Question number 5 is about the provisions of Regulating Act of 1773. Under this Regulating Act of 1773, the Supreme Court of Judicature was set up at which place? 1773, it was the first regulating act which was brought or which was enacted by the British Parliament in order to control the affairs of the East India Company and how it ruled India. Okay, so this Regulating Act 1773, it made various reforms in the functioning of East India Company, and one of the very important reforms was, it was decided that one court, one federal court or one Supreme Court will be set up at which location? At Fort William in Calcutta, at Fort St. George in Madras, at Fort David in Bombay, or at Fort St. George in Bombay. The correct answer for this is Fort William in Calcutta. You have to appreciate this, that the Battle of Plassey in 1757 and Battle of Buxar in 1764, these two battles, I have told you, they sealed the fate of the East India Company. They decided that East India Company will be the ruling power in at least in the North Indian parts, right? And after these battles, the Bengal province or Bengal region was the stronghold of the Britishers. Kolkata, or at that time it was known as Calcutta, this was the stronghold of the Britishers because they were able to defeat first of all the Nawab of Bengal, then the Mughal Empire, and then the Awadh, and all this entire region was under the direct control of Britishers. And that is why the first Supreme Court of India, which was set up under 1773 Regulating Act, it was set up at Fort William in Calcutta. Right, so Fort William in Calcutta, Britishers did not only set up the first Supreme Court or the first court in India, but also various universities, educational institutions which were set up, they were also done at Calcutta on the behest of Britishers. Right. Next up is the question number 6. Question number 6 again gives us two statements, and we have to identify the correct statements out of these two. The statement 1 says the Lord Mountbatten was the viceroy when Shimla conference took place, and second statement says Indian Navy revolt of 1946 took place when the Indian sailors in the Royal Indian Navy at Bombay and Karachi rose against the government. So two separate incidents are being talked about here. The first one is your Shimla conference. Shimla conference, it happened during the tenure of Lord Mountbatten. This is the first statement, which is absolutely wrong. Lord Mountbatten, he came to India in 1947. Right, he was the Governor General of India for a very brief amount of time prior to 1947, and even after 1947 for a few months he was the Governor General of India, and then he handed over his duties to C. Rajagopalachari, who was the first and last Indian Governor General, or not Viceroy but the Indian Governor General. Okay, so Lord Mountbatten, he was not the Viceroy when Shimla conference took place. And Indian Navy revolt of 46, it took place, yes, it took place in 1946, just before independence. And in this revolt, actually the soldiers, or we can say the sailors who were part of the Royal Indian Navy, the Indian Navy at that time, which was under the British administration, they revolted against the British government. And this was a big blow to the British government, because up till now the British government was only controlling the subcontinent on the basis of its military power, on the basis of its army, on the basis of its navy and air force. But now they knew that even the soldiers of their navy and their army and their air force are not willing to fight for them, and that is why they actually were in a hurry to leave India. Okay, so correct answer for this question is only the second statement is correct. The correct answer is option B, because in 1945 when the Shimla conference took place, Lord Wavell was the viceroy or the Governor General of our country, and not Lord Mountbatten. He came quite late. Right, so this is your question number 6. Now let us talk about the question number 7. Question number 7 says which one of the following territories was not affected by the revolt of 1857. So be very careful, which of these territories was not affected by the 1857 revolt. Options are Jhansi, Chittor, Jagdishpur and Lucknow. So now this question is also not very difficult to answer. We know that Jhansi is very famously known for Jhansi ki Rani Lakshmi Bai, and Rani Lakshmi Bai, she fought in the Battle of Jhansi, which was happening during the revolt of 1857. Okay, so Jhansi cannot be the answer. Jhansi was very famously associated with the 1857 revolt. Similarly, if we talk about Lucknow, which was the capital of the Awadh province or Awadh princely state at that time, it was also a hotbed of the 1857 revolt. actually the Britishers, the first defeat they suffered at the hands of the rebels, it happened in Lucknow. Next, Jagdishpur in Bihar. It was again also a very important hotbed for the 1857 revolt. Kunwar Singh was a very important and charismatic leader of that time. He hailed from Jagdishpur. He actually started defeating British battalions which were going to Awadh at that time from Bengal in order to help take back Awadh. Okay, so correct answer for this question is option B, Chittor. Chittor, located on the western side of India, it was quite untouched by the 1857 revolt, and that is why the correct answer is Chittor. ठीक है, Jhansi, Jagdishpur and Lucknow, these were the prominent hotbeds for the revolt of 1857. Even the entire region between Delhi and Calcutta, the entire Ganga Yamuna plain, it is the hotbed for 1857 revolt. Done. Next up, let us talk about question number 8. Question number 8 is, which one of the following places did Kunwar Singh, a prominent leader of the 1857 revolt, belong to? So Kunwar Singh, as I told you, he belonged to Jagdishpur. Right, Jagdishpur, it is a location currently located in the state of Bihar, but at that time it was a princely state, it was its own principality, and Kunwar Singh was the leader of that principality, and he fought against the Britishers. Right, so correct answer for this question will be option A, Bihar. You have to remember Bihar. In addition to Bihar, Uttar Pradesh and Madhya Pradesh, these were other two states, the present day states, which were very active during the 1857 revolt. In addition to this, some places in Maharashtra, some places in Andhra Pradesh were also very active during the 57 revolt. Okay, so correct answer for this is Bihar. Kunwar Singh, he was a notable leader during the 1857 revolt. He belonged to Royal Ujjainiya Rajput House of Jagdishpur. Currently, it is a part of Bhojpur district of Bihar. Right. Next up is the second last question of the day, my friends, and this question is about UP Kisan Sabha. Who among the following was not associated with the formation of UP Kisan Sabha in February 1918? So UP Kisan Sabha, it was formed under the we can say the aegis of Indian National Congress, and it formed in 1918. And which of the following leaders was not at all associated with its formation? Options are Indira Narayan Dwivedi, Gauri Shankar Mishra, option B, Jawaharlal Nehru, option C, and Madan Mohan Malviya, option number D. The correct answer of this question is option C, Jawaharlal Nehru. Jawaharlal Nehru was not involved in the formation of UP Kisan Sabha. This Sabha was set up in February 1918 by Gauri Shankar Mishra and Indra Narayan Dwivedi. Madan Mohan Malviya also supported their efforts, and by June 1919, the UP Kisan Sabha had 450 branches across the province and across India. Other prominent leaders included Jhinguri Singh, Durgapal Singh, and Baba Ramchandra. These leaders, they were quite, socialist leaders in their approach, and they wanted to work for the upliftment of Indian farmers, Indian peasants, and Indian laborers. And Jawaharlal Nehru, he was not associated with the formation of UP Kisan Sabha in 48. Done. Next up, now let us talk about the last question of the day. This question is related to the Karachi session of Congress. It happened in 1931. Who among the following drafted the resolution on fundamental rights for the Karachi session of Congress in 1931? Options are Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, option B, Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru, option C, Dr. Rajendra Prasad, and option D, Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel. So the Karachi session, it happened in 1931, and in this session a resolution was passed on fundamental rights, that what should be the fundamental rights for the Indian subjects under the British rule. And this resolution was drafted by Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru. Right, so he drafted the resolution of fundamental rights and economic program also. So there were two important different resolutions which were passed during the Karachi session. First one was the resolution of fundamental rights, that what should be the fundamental rights provided to the Indian citizens, and second one was what should be the economic plan ahead of 1918, so that the economic development happens in India, the economic conditions of Indian masses, it gets better. And this Karachi session was held on March 26 to 31 in 1931, and it was chaired by Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel. Okay, so a very important session again, because Vallabhbhai Patel, he was the chairman of this session, and Mahatma Gandhi was selected to represent the Indian National Congress at the second round table conference to be held. We know that this was the time when the civil disobedience movement, which started in 1930 along with Dandi March, it was now coming to a halt, and Gandhiji was being selected to represent India or INC at the round table conferences. Okay, This session also discussed the approval of Gandhi-Irwin Pact or the Delhi Pact, and 6 days before this session, Bhagat Singh, Rajguru, and Sukhdev, they were hanged. So there was also controversy surrounding this session, that there were many sections in the Indian society as well as in Indian political class which thought that the hanging of Bhagat Singh, Rajguru, Sukhdev, it could have been postponed, it could have been deleted, it could have been changed into some other kinds of punishment if Indian National Congress would have been very strong, and if in the Gandhi-Irwin Pact, which was signed between Gandhi and Lord Irwin at that time, in this pact, if this provision was included that Bhagat Singh, Rajguru, Sukhdev, they should be given mercy, they should be forgiven for their crimes. Okay, so this is a very important session. In this important session, we have discussed about fundamental rights resolution, we have discussed about economic program, we have discussed about the Gandhi-Irwin Pact, it was given approval. Then next, Gandhiji was decided to represent India at the second roundtable conference. This session therefore included all these various developments, and it's an important session to remember. And also Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel was the chairman of this session, right? So this is all for today's session, my friends, and I hope that you like this content that we are coming up with, and all the revision of the modern history part, the Indian freedom struggle part is happening in through these sessions. And if you like the content that we are presenting, please do subscribe to our YouTube channel, and also like and share this video so that more and more aspirants can come and join us. And please do not forget to join the Telegram channel, the link for which is available in the description box given below. On this channel, we provide you with all the free content that we upload on YouTube, all the sessions, all the videos, all the live sessions that happen, their PDFs, any of the content that is associated with those videos is available on this Telegram channel. So you can go on this channel and download all this content absolutely free of cost, right? And also do not forget about the code one time. Using this code, you can get 50% discount, 50% discount, half the price of any of the course which is being offered by EduTap. Okay, so this is all from my side. Keep on learning, keep on growing. Jai Hind and Jai Bharat.